Ukrainian crisis has had an interesting impact on Europe. It has united Europe, even if Putin's intention was to do the opposite. In fact, the Europe has now completely different trajectory, and it has to reorganize itself. After this crisis, the Europe will be a new Europe. Hi, here is Markku Wilenius, your traveling futurist. What we have experienced this far is Ukraine's heroic defense, which has united the country unlike anything else. And we know this back from the history. This is always what happens when external aggressors try to invade the country. But not only that, but even more importantly, Ukrainian crisis has also created a huge amount of empathy towards Ukraine. In a way, Ukraine has been actually drawn to the global map in a very different way than it was before. Now the question comes, what happens after the aggressor has gone and there is a time to rebuild the new Ukraine? That will be obviously a huge challenge, but also that will bring a lot of investment, a lot of new attraction to Ukraine after the war. Also, we have to remember, Ukraine for some time now wanted to approach European Union, the European heartlands. And that has been already nominally agreed that Ukraine is a candidate to become a member of the European Union. Even if that would take some time, there is a clear intention to do that. And again, that will also change the position of Europe, extend the European Union much further into the east, changing the whole constellation within the Europe and European Union. Now, if you look at the situation, Ukraine has generated a lot of empathy and also a lot of practical support from almost all parts of the world. Russia has also been given a support, but those supporters of Russia have been countries like China, Syria, and like Iran. All those countries that we know there is a very authoritarian rule. And if you look at the impact and the map of the world, you may understand that the support to Russia is a fraction to the support that has flown into Ukraine. This is the basis of all analysis about what will happen in the future. The question that we now have in our mind, of course, is that when this unfortunate war will stop. Nobody knows. I have said previously that I believe that the Russian military system, in fact the whole Russian society and economy, it's not as strong as it easily looked like. And this is because there has been 20 years of Putin regime which has corrupted basically the whole country, chased away a lot of the really talented, intelligent, forward-looking people of Russia. I believe that maybe it's not about the military solution. Maybe it's impossible to think that one or another party will just overrule the other. I believe that something else needs to happen. And what that something else is probably something that creates a possibility for diplomatic solution, whatever it is. And the clock is ticking. I think it will be rather close than far. Many people think that it will go for years. I don't believe that. But the future will tell us, obviously. After the war starts the rebuilding of Ukraine. The West will naturally have a lot of sympathy for the cause, different kind of aid, and investment will flow into Ukraine. Maybe some of the money of the oligarchs will be used to rebuilding the nation after the destruction. But this also means that Ukraine has to modernize itself, the way it works, and take out the corruption as much as possible, modernize its legislation, its taxation, really to become a European country. That is a challenge, and I'm sure Ukrainians know that, but with this sympathy and empathy that comes, and with the potential investments that are gonna be flooding from all over the world after the war, there is a chance really to do that. And there is an interesting history to that. I only need to recall the history of my own country. We had, during the Second World War, 2 tough wars with Russia. But what happened after those wars was that Finland was very rapidly changing from agricultural to industrial, and then later on post-industrial country. And that speed was quite incredible, because that speed was determined by the will of the people to build a much stronger and much better country. And this is exactly what happened. We also have some other historical examples. For instance, South Korea, after the devastating war, they became one of the most advanced countries in the world over the time. Also because of the will of the people to never to experience what they had experienced, and build a country which is much more stronger, much more advanced, even much more socially equitable. So this, I believe, is also going to happen with Ukraine. Given that, ironically, this war has built a totally new connectivity between the Ukraine and the West, and using this new platform as a leverage, I believe that we're going to see in the mid to long term a very new, a very fresh new Ukraine. Because if you think about it, how the world will see Ukraine after the war is gone. The world will see Ukraine as an example how the unity of the country can build something much bigger than just the country itself. Because in fact, they have been building example for the rest of the world, how to reorganize yourself and how to build the unity that is needed to build not only the self-defense, but also to identify what is the Ukraine as a country. And this will then continue into the future when the more normal times will start, which I believe will happen rather sooner than later. Summarizing, Russian invasion to Ukraine will not stand for too long anymore. And after that, what happens is that the West will offer its help and Ukraine will be rebuilt. Ukraine needs to modernize its economy, become a more open and more European, and that will reset the whole course for that beautiful country. Ukrainian will need to modernize the country and build the standards inside its society and economy that meet the standards of the European Union. And that will set the space to build a new Ukraine after the war. Please subscribe to my channel, share this video with your friends, look for other similar videos, and give your feedback.